Yeah.
You can hear me.
All right.
We are live. There's no viewers.
We're live. So, yeah, but anybody that watches it later.
That's true.
We have a little intro for them. So this is our episode 50 raw recording. Yep, this is episode Big 50.
Let's go.
Woo!
Ding, ding.
Let's go.
Da, 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 da. So yeah, Big 50. So if you're watching, welcome. So this is the recording. You're getting all the raw crap that we just have to record. We'll try and edit this nice and pretty a little bit later and post our podcast later as well. But if you're watching, just so you know, you get everything. You're getting all the behind the scenes, fun, great, good time stuff that not everybody that listens to the show is always going to get. But welcome. Thanks for joining us. All right. So, Dina, where are you exactly?
In Destin, Florida.
That's right. Good old.
My ear is so crispy. It's like a potato chip.
Oh, yeah. So hard.
You look like you've gotten some sun.
Crispy potato chip.
You weren't wearing sunscreen,
And it took
Dina?
us, like, I do.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, and I even wore a hat and glasses.
But it was cloudy, wasn't it? So you didn't think you needed sunscreen because it was cloudy.
No, I knew I did.
Oh, okay.
I even I lathered up the kids and me and everything. And even this morning was chilly, but it clears up. It gets nice and warm and beautiful. And I mean, it's beautiful down here. Oh my gosh.
I love
Do
it.
you guys want to introduce yourselves each to Harold?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Harold, I'm Dina Knightley.
Hi, Dina.
Hi. I'll be doing your intro. I'm doing the intro, right? Am I
No,
not?
you're doing WX Resources. Remember?
Oh, I'm not doing the intro. Okay.
No, you're not.
I wasn't
You're
sure.
doing WX Resources.
Okay.
I'm
Plus,
doing
I
your
didn't
intro.
know I didn't know how you'd come through. So that was also kind of a question mark. But so far so good.
I made it with like 6 minutes to go. And this is beach hair. Look, beach hair.
A little sand in there too.
Look at my forehead. It's glowing
Oh gosh, Dina.
red. I had my Stormford Freaks hat on too. I was sporting.
Oh, you
that
did?
today.
Oh,
I
nice.
did.
I'm excited
Yeah.
about t-shirts though. Those t-shirts look fire.
Yeah.
I wore my hat the whole time I was in the Grand Canyon.
You guys wait. You guys wait till we'll announce tonight the whole Helicity Designs
Gosh,
partnership.
That's pretty cool.
such a cool logo.
This is going to be sweet.
That's awesome. I have one of their. I have some of theirs. Like everybody I know has a shirt from them.
Yeah, and Justin does some great stuff, and he's got some great ideas. So we're excited about this, and it's getting some buzz on social media too. So it
Nice.
should be good. All right,
Good.
Kim, introduce yourself to Harold quick.
Hey, Harold, I'm a big fan of yours. I've known you, but really not known you for many, many, many years. I'm Kim Cunningham, used to be Kim Perez, and read a lot of your papers over the years.
Gotcha. That's the connection I remember. Yeah. So
Yeah.
okay.
Anyway, great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, Brady.
Harold, hi, my name is Brady Harris. So I was a student at Ohio State, graduated with atmospheric sciences degree, and now I'm a computer consultant, but happy to have you.
Okay. Sounds
He's
good.
my alumni brother.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Well,
Ohio
Bucks.
State siblings. All right. So a couple things to let you guys know. I mentioned this last show, but Dina, you weren't on, so just a reminder. Brady, you weren't either. When we do the "What are you drinking" segment, my goal is to try and shorten that up and make it a little quicker.
Okay.
We, as opposed to drawing it out to a big 5-minute, we're talking about what are you drinking. So we're going to shorten it up a little bit. So I'll just kind of, we'll treat it like you're coming up to the bar, and I'll kind of like, hey, so what are you having? What are you drinking? You can just tell us what you're drinking. And for the most part, that'll be it. We won't get into big, long conversations about what each other is drinking. Okay. So we'll keep it short and simple.
Unless it's the
I've
box
had
of
a big,
hooch.
long
Unless
conversation
it's
ready.
the box of hooch. Yeah, we need Dina's description
Yeah,
of
no
the box
kidding.
of hooch.
I know.
The box
And
of hooch.
listen, sometimes it's good. The problem is sometimes it also drags 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, like when I'm drinking a Michelob and I talk 5 minutes about that.
And,
Yeah.
and we still haven't gotten to our guest, and I don't want to bore Harold with what everybody's.
Yeah. You're right. We'll save it for special occasions.
So we'll try and shorten it up. You guys, we'll just shorten it up a little bit. That's all you need to know. Reminder to mute your phones. If you need to mute your mic, If it gets loud in the background, don't forget, you just go up to move your mouse to the top of the screen. Harold, there's a mute microphone button if you need to do that as well. The one thing I do want to say is don't be aware not to bump your table. Like if your mic is sitting on your table, if you bump your table or set stuff down on your table, it's going to be heard. So just a reminder, if it's sitting on your table, try not to bump it and all that stuff. Be quiet when you set your drink down. Everybody's camera looks good. How's my MJ? How's my camera? Am I better tonight?
Much improved tonight.
All right. I just had to switch. I was using my 2G. I had to switch to my 5G last time. That was the problem.
Bill, you look a little tan too. Did you go somewhere?
God, no. I wish. I'm ready. I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
And if you do get knocked off, just use the same link, log back on. The fun part is because this is just recording, we can edit out any crap that we lose. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Well, we got our opening. I'm going to announce the Helicity Designs partnership. We'll do our what are you drinking setup, and then I'll turn over to Kim to introduce Harold. Then we'll do the lightning round. Harold, I understand you are a fan of medieval history. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So our lightning round might just have something to do with Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Love
So,
it.
you know.
And behind me, I have a holy hand grenade of Antioch on.
No way.
You're gonna nail this.
I can go get it and move it closer.
You are gonna nail this.
Oh my
This is gonna be
God.
good. And then we'll take our first break. Okay, we'll connect back then. Anybody questions? Everybody good? One more
I'm
time,
good.
if you're watching us, thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching this mess of a recording that we always have, and MJ always does a good job of making it sound pretty once we edit everything out. But thanks for joining us. You can use the chat box as well if you want to chat. MJ will be chatting with people as well.
We're there.
All right, let's do this. Go ahead, MJ, count me in.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. Of course, this is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. If you happen to be a first-time listener, we always want to thank you for checking us out. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com and check out the library of previous shows that we have with famous guests from the weather industry. But tonight, everybody, this is our historic 50th episode, the Big 50.
Oh, yeah.
And here's why this is historic for us, because we are a bi-weekly show. So if we were weekly, of course, this would be our 100th episode. We would be doing this for 100 weeks, but we've been doing this for almost 2 years now, which is crazy to think.
Wow.
Isn't that nuts? That
Wow.
is nuts.
Yeah.
But episode 50, we could not have a better guest to celebrate than our senior research scientist of NOAA's Severe Storms Laboratory. We've got the legendary Harold Brooks is with us tonight. And we'll also be discussing the future use of, and I got to elaborate here because I still have on the script last week's discussion, but we're going to be talking about the National Weather Service and whether or not they should be getting into media. You know, they're half dipping their toe a little bit into social media and web pages, but they're trying to stay away from video and streaming stuff. But we're going to talk about, should they go all in, or should they be all out, or should they just keep kind of tipping their toe in the water? We'll talk about that. And stick around, as we're certainly not short of weather fools this week. And we, of course, we usually have some WX resources to share with you. Tonight, I have got a bombshell announcement right here and right now. This is going to be a huge announcement for you guys. We've been teasing this on social media, but we're excited to introduce a new partnership with Helicity Designs. Now, if you're a weather geek, you know who Helicity Designs is, right? You guys all know Helicity.
Are you serious?
Come on, Bill. Are you questioning our geekiness?
If you go to helicitydesigns.com, great stuff. They'll be listen to this. They're going to be coming up. I've been talking with Justin, very creative guy. Love what he's doing. They're going to come up with a line of exclusive Stormfront Freaks podcast merchandise, done the only way that Helicity Designs can do it. They've been teasing a little bit of that already. But I want to share tonight to celebrate this partnership and our 50th episode. Helicity Designs has created a Stormfront Freaks podcast lightning round tour T-shirt.
Nice.
So
Nice.
this is awesome. It's a good old black concert tour T-shirt, Kim. You're gonna love this. It's right.
I love it. I already
right
love
up
it.
your Megadeth, Metallica alley.
Nice.
So it's done like a concert T-shirt. So it says on the front Stormfront Freaks, and then it says Lightning Round Tour, and then listen to this on the back. Now, what's normally on a back of a concert T-shirt?
Cities.
Right. Yeah, all the cities of their tour. So here's what we're doing. The back of this T-shirt is going to list all of our first 50 episodes and guests that we've had on the podcast.
I love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so listen to this. So Harold, you're already on the T-shirt. You're just showing up tonight. Is that unbelievable?
I could leave now and
No.
I'm just thinking, thank God you showed up tonight, because otherwise you have to redo the T-shirt.
You would have totally
But
been
Dina, you're on there. Kim, you're on there. You guys were both guests at one point. So yeah, on the back of the shirt, it's got our tour of the first 50 episodes and who was on and the date that they were on there. So get this, you can go to helicitydesigns.com. You can go there right now, and you can find that awesome Lightning Round Tour T-shirt. And get this, I'm not done. You not only can get the exclusive shirt, but as part of our agreement, our podcast listeners, which is you get an extra 5% off your entire order if you use the code FREAKS, RFEAKS. Use the code FREAKS at checkout, and you're going to get 5% off your entire order.
Nice.
Just because you're a listener.
nice.
So be sure to browse their entire collection of weather-themed clothing, swimwear, shoes, accessories, and other products. They got all kinds of great stuff. And obviously, if they got weather stuff for weather geeks, that's their slogan. Just go to helicitydesigns.com, check out their stuff, use Freaks, and get our commemorative 50 episode T-shirt.
Got a
That's
little promo code too.
I know we've made it. That's how you know you
We're
did
out
it
there,
big.
man.
You got a promo code.
We got a
Yeah.
promo code. Anyway, so check it out. They got some great stuff, and we'll be announcing more stuff as we go. But all right, so hey, it's always happy hour when we're recording Stormfront Freaks podcast. The best way to introduce our co-hosts and share our casual atmosphere is to find out what everybody's drinking. So we ask all of our listeners, hey, feel free to join us as long as you're not driving or at work, as we say. But go ahead and step up to the bar. Let's find out what you're drinking tonight. MJ's in Minnesota. What are you drinking?
Hey, good evening. My kind of my go-to beer. This is Michelob Amber Bock.
Oh,
Nice.
Okay.
it's normally a fall beer, I think, isn't it?
I don't know. I
Or is
drink
it
it
a
year
spring.
round.
No, you know what it is? Bach tends to be a spring beer. Very good. Dina. Now, Dina is normally coming to us from Atlanta, but
Yeah.
tonight we find out she's been catching the rays on the beach in Destin, Florida.
Yeah.
Oh my
I've
God.
been in spring break, and I hadn't drank for a couple months from that fitness program. Well, I kind of
Oh,
fell off the
right.
wagon on vacation. I feel like I'm on
I think she already has.
I feel like I felt like I'm an AA because it's been 72 days since my last drink.
Oh my.
So I've been drinking now. I'm on, I don't know. I'm on a few of them.
Yeah.
I think we need to have a show called 2 Drink Minimum. You have to have a 2 drink
That's no
minimum
fun.
before you
That's
even
no
start.
Although we'll make
I'm
it through
drinking
the
tonight.
show. We'll make it through the
I
show
had some
better.
beers. Now I'm on the wine, and
It's
I'm
like
mixing.
we need to have a pool bar just for Dina. All right, Brady is in Columbus. Brady, what are you drinking?
I'm having a nice red blend tonight, so it's nice and refreshing.
You're so fancy.
Aren't you so
I
sophisticated?
drink what's available, man. I'm at the parents' house right now. So.
Yeah. That's right.
Very good. All right,
It's free.
Kim. Now Kim is in Atlanta. Kim, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a local beer from the Burnt Hickory Brewery Company, right up the street from me, actually. And this is Ezekiel's Wheel. So kind of a cool, going back to the Civil War days can. So yeah,
Like
real
a
good.
dark.
Yeah, it's a pale ale. It's hoppy for a pale ale, but I usually drink the IPAs, but this is good. I like it.
Very good. All right, and then we'll go to our guest. I always say we've got a green room stocked in this digital show that we have. Harold's coming to us from Norman, Oklahoma. What are you drinking, Harold?
iced tea.
iced
All
tea.
right.
Very good. Now, I'll say this. I also want to mention Harold's at work. He's
So
calling
he's
from
the
his
only
office.
sober.
Oh, no
So
wonder.
he's going to have to finish the show for the rest of us. But let's get to our guest and give him a formal introduction. Kim, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. So Harold Brooks, he's a meteorologist and a senior scientist with the NOAA Severe Storms Laboratory, whose research is concentrated on severe convective storms and tornadoes, particularly severe weather climatology, as well as weather forecasting. He's also been elected as a fellow of the AMS, the American Meteorological Society. That was in 2010, and also the Royal Meteorology Society as well. And I know, Harold, you've gotten all kinds of awards for papers, and there's just so much I could have said in your intro, but we want to save a lot of time, I think, for just the questions and great information you have tonight. And I want to say thank you for joining us. I know you're very busy.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Welcome.
And actually tonight I'm proud to be the spouse of an Oklahoma public school teacher.
Awesome.
Ah,
So
very good.
More money,
very good.
hopefully.
we're having interesting times right now around here, and she and my daughter went up to the Capitol today, and they may be going back tomorrow. So
Good
Good
for
luck.
them.
thank you.
Good luck.
Boy, they deserve it. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time out to join
You're
us
welcome.
tonight. Again, tons of questions for you, but anybody that's in meteorology, I think knows your name, has seen it on research papers, and people probably wonder, how did you get to this point? Has research always been a passion for you in convective storms, tornadoes, or climatology?
There are a lot of people I know that have that story of when they were 5 years old, they knew they were going to do weather, and that's not me. Undergraduate, I was physics and math major, and I knew I'd do science and math and all that. And I kind of stumbled into doing weather. That a previous graduate of my college had gone to a summer program at the Goddard Institute for Space Studies in New York with Columbia University, and that had turned him into one of the world's black hole experts. He actually did a postdoc and lived with Stephen Hawking for 3 years.
What?
And so when I graduated, when I was getting ready for that kind of time, they said, "Hey, you ought to look at that program." And so my summer research was actually looking at the last glacial maximum climate. And I went back and did graduate work and looked at transport of volcanic aerosols in the stratosphere, and got a little tired of living up there. And I was engaged by that point to my wife, whose parents lived in Chicago, and my parents were in St. Louis. And to be honest with you, Urbana-Champaign was a really convenient place to go. And I started doing thunderstorm stuff in there at the University of Illinois with Bob Wilhelmsen, and that's kind of how it happened. 1990, I came down here. Chuck Doswell invited me to come to the lab. Said, do a postdoc for 1 year before you go off to do some faculty position, and I just haven't left.
Yeah. Wow.
Fantastic.
What an intro, huh?
Hey, Harold, I have a question for you, because when I was looking at your intro, you did have climatology on there, and I'm not getting political whatsoever.
Yeah, right.
So everybody have a drink. It's just a question.
Sipping one now.
Sure.
Have 2 drink minimum, remember. But in your organization doing climatology, and then we have an administration that doesn't really believe in climate change, are you seeing any changes in
Not
your
not where
No.
I am. No, but that doesn't mean, we don't. When I do climatology, it's a lot. It's more historical and what's going on. We do some work with trying to estimate what will happen with changes potentially in severe storms, but that's a real small component, and it's actually can be easily phrased in terms of we're doing things that help us understand weather conditions for forecasting. And so we really haven't felt things. There may well be other agencies within NOAA that have, but I haven't really noticed it where I am.
I've been curious to ask you that, because I've even read articles where kids are going to start getting textbooks where no global climate change is even allowed to be mentioned.
That could be
wow.
Wow.
That could be in some states. That's a state by state basis, and I have a hard enough time understanding a lot of things that go into the education system. Understanding things like textbook selection and what the goals are is really, really hard.
Okay.
I bet.
So Harold, I'm dying to know, what is your perfect day when you come into work? If you could have one day, is it a calm day? Is it when severe weather's going on? What's your perfect day when you go to work? What are you looking forward to the most?
My guess is it more than it probably aims towards a little more towards the calm day. I like the mean, day-to-day weather, it matters to me, but in many senses it doesn't. You know, I look at historical stuff, and I look at trying to design forecast systems. And so just the chance to sit and think, to sit and talk to graduate students, to talk to some work colleagues about some things we've been working on is always a good thing, and not with no feeling of, well, I better be doing something else while this is going on. And just I think to me, I tell people that one of the great things about being a scientist is that you reach the point where there are times when you know something that nobody else on the planet knows, and then your job is to tell people that. And those don't happen very often, but occasionally as you work on something, you find out, man, this is really cool, and you go tell somebody, and that's just a whole lot of fun. Those are the best days.
Oh my gosh! So let me ask you this. So, are you part of the decision making there? I imagine you probably are, but what research gets done? I mean, is there a group of people that get together to decide what NSL is going to be researching?
Yeah, well, yes and no. I've been here a long time, and I was hired under what may in some sense be an old idea. When I arrived, Bob Maddox, who was the director then, when I came on my postdoc, said, I'm looking for the next generation of superstars to lead research at the lab, and they're going to work on important problems. And the reason the way we're going to know they're important problems is that they told us they're important because they're working on them. And now we have a lot more stuff where we do big projects. I'm involved in a small bit in one of those, but I'm sort of the last of the pretty much independent principal investigators, and I get to pick and choose about 90% of what I do.
You by yourself when you do the research, or you got people working with you?
It depends on what I'm doing. I mean, I'm probably not real good as part of a big group. I've got two PhD students that I have right now in meteorology, and another one that I help with in geography here at Oklahoma. And one of them in particular I work with pretty closely. The other one does a lot of stuff with the SPC, so he can work with the SPC, and the one in geography does stuff with the geographers. So I tend to be much better at working with like one or two people on things, and then I guess the biggest group I'm involved with is our efforts to try to do social science with meteorology. And there's a set of folks that we met again with today that we're doing some things for a spring project that's coming in, and just that's a little bit of a bigger group. But I have a hard time. If you gave me 10 people, I don't know what I'd do, because that's just not. I mean, that's not my style. That's a lot harder thing for me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Harold, I'm dying to know, because along that lines of the social science, I was just at work yesterday or 2 days ago. There was a tornado warning in our county, and everyone at work just continued to work. So I'm dying to know, what do you find people most respond to when it comes to stuff like that?
Well, I mean, there's sort of the standard stuff we do that we know from any warning of any kind of disaster, and a lot of it has to do with trusted messengers, but it's difficult to pick those things out, a priori as to what an individual will respond to. We know that. I mean, to me, one of the things that I really love about the tornado warning problem as an intellectual exercise is that it's a real example of decision making under uncertainty with great time pressure, and that occurs at the forecaster scale, at the communicator scale, and at the user scale. And there aren't many problems like that. I mean, emergency room doctors, firefighters have to deal with decision making under uncertainty with a lot of time pressure, but not to have it at the information creator, information pass along, and the information user stage. And we really don't understand how that system works very well, even yet.
Wow.
So since you've been living there for such a long time, you have, I'm sure, have seen tornadoes.
A few.
Yeah, just a few. Oh my gosh. Has your house been hit by one?
No.
That, but, okay.
And nothing actually even particularly close. Probably the closest thing to our house is maybe 3 miles. Well, no, they're sorry. I was out of town. Sorry. Let me go back. I was out of town for a 1 mile away. That actually, my wife's school, when she went out to the parking lot, there were telephone poles down across the street.
Oh gosh.
And it actually hit It did hit the high school where my youngest child was at the time, although it was
Wow.
relatively weak. But I was out of town, so
Oh,
I got a lot of grief for that.
I'm sure.
You know,
I'm sure.
Isn't that a problem? Is when you're into weather, whether you're a chaser, storm spotter, meteorologist, researcher, whatever it is, when there's bad weather in the area, you're probably not sitting at home.
Well,
And
yeah,
that's sad.
Well, the
bit.
thing about this was I was actually refereeing a volleyball tournament in Dallas.
So it
And-
wasn't weather related.
No, it wasn't. Oh, well, not at all weather related. But I'm on the referee stand, and we don't, the phone is in my pocket, but I'm not going to obviously answer the phone while in the middle of a match. But my phone is going bananas with
I
messages,
bet.
and it's one of those, I wonder what's going on. And I get off the stand, and the first message is from my wife, at Whittier in shelter with kids.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah, that's not a very good thing. But that was in hindsight, that's an amusing time.
yeah.
Right.
Because as the wife, I'd be like, pick up the phone.
Well, she knows. I mean, she knows what I'm reffing. Obviously, it's all she can do is send a message, and I'll check it after the match. So.
All right, I got 2 questions for you. The first
Okay.
question is, Harold, what was your connection with the movie Twister?
Okay.
And how were you involved?
Well, that's 2 questions right there, right?
No, it's the same thing.
There's got three.
I tend to do that.
Okay.
I tend to
3,
turn the
maybe
question.
4.
Yeah.
I'm what is officially referred to as a technical consultant. My name appears in the credits right before no animals were harmed.
Nice.
But the big things that I did were we did storm safety for cast and crew, because you have a whole lot of people that are going to be outside in Oklahoma in April and May, and that's and many of them had never been around storms, and so this was something that they needed to know. Did a little bit of talking with some people about lines in the show or in the movie. Like Helen Hunt called. We had a 3-hour conversation about a lot of her script. She promised some things would be said that she said, I can't promise they'll make it into the final cut, but the first take will be that way. And at least one of them didn't.
Like Harold Brooks told me.
There was an inside joke with some chasers back then that she said she promised she would get the first line, and it didn't make the final. It didn't make the final thing. We hosted Bill Paxton. He was actually in our operations center for Vortex for the first day when we got our first tornado of the field project, and then went out with our field teams on April 19th, 1995, which was the day of the Oklahoma City bombing, and they actually went through his hometown of Weatherford, Texas, while they were out chasing with our people. And I did a lot with the art department coordinator, Carla Nimick, who was one of those people who tries to make the set look real. They actually filmed the opening scene of the movie twice. Once was what showed up on film, which was out in the field. The other was actually in a classroom. And so I did equations, a skew T chart,
No.
all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Wow.
Yes, it was a convective weather class, and so we had all of that up on the board, and that unfortunately got cut. And I also got a lot. I got also
QT.
when Kathy Kennedy, who was the executive producer at the time, she was Spielberg's partner in the movie business, came by, I'd give her coffee. That was the other thing. She'd come up and steal coffee out of my coffee maker.
So
Nice.
so I lied. A sub question to that
Okay.
before I get to my second.
Oh.
So shut up. So was there a time while they were filming that there was any serious weather in the area that you had to inform them of?
No, I didn't inform them. I mean, we did have, actually, all of the cast except for Helen and Carrie Elwes actually did go out with our vehicles on April 19th, 95, as part of the Vortex Field Project, and just went out to see what was going on. That turned out to be an incredibly difficult day to operate because of the bombing in the morning, and communication to the field was very difficult because we just lost a lot of phone coverage because of all of that going on with downtown. But they went out and did that. But we didn't have anything that really was that I remember that was anything really bad while they were around.
All right. So second question. So the Severe Storms Lab, can you tell us what are some of the things you guys are working on to make the lives of the average person better when it comes to severe weather?
Well, the mission of the National Severe Storms Laboratory is to do research to improve the warnings and forecast of severe weather. Our big projects right now, the thing we've probably been known for historically forever, has been radar development. Doppler weather radar is a lab invention, or at least in terms of its application, the big part of its applications. Same thing with polarimetric radar. That was done, basically developed seriously here at the lab. We're working right now on what we think may well be the next generation of radar, phased array radar, which has the advantage of no moving parts and can collect a lot. It essentially is an electronically steered antenna that they've been using like on naval ships for a long time. Yeah. But we're going to try to bring that in, and it can do all kinds of. It has all kinds of applications because you can do weather and track aircraft at the same time with the same platform, and you can interrogate small parts of the space while you're still paying attention to everything going on. So that's one big project. Another one is what we call facets, forecasting a continuum of environmental threats. And I do a tiny bit with this, which is essentially trying to, if you think right now, we put out forecast products in a few stages for severe weather. We got the convective outlooks that cover a day and are issued on a daily basis. We have watches and we have warnings, and we do some other intermediate products, but not real seriously. But that we're trying to figure out, we know lots of things, information changes all the time. So we're trying to figure out ways that we can create and communicate that information to users continuously and have information that flows fairly seamlessly. And that one of the big challenges we have in trying to communicate weather is we know a lot more than we're actually able to tell people in the short amount of time we ever get their attention span. But we also know there are potentially sophisticated users, like school districts maybe, or emergency managers, or hospital groups that have large safety responsibilities that can use a lot more information than what we give to the general public. If we gave all that information to the general public, it probably wouldn't help them respond very well. But if I can tell an emergency manager, you may have tornadic conditions in a couple of hours from now, they may be able to start to deploy resources. And that's a long-term goal of, in some sense, improving the value of the forecast that we create by, in some sense, almost just changing and refining more the way we put information out.
And what about the Vortex project in the Southeast?
Vortex Southeast is that's another thing that the lab is not. That's not just ours. So we're heavily involved in it. Vortex Southeast it's different than any field project that's ever been done, in that we don't really have a fixed base that's where we have people at or even close to it, so that we have to figure out when to send people to go there. So Eric Rasmussen, who's in some sense in charge of the project, does that. But the real big thing that's different about Vortex Southeast is the social science aspect. We have people who are involved with when there are weather events. What do emergency managers do? How do people respond? How do they use information? How do even emergency managers think about their job? Especially given the wide variety of emergency managers, because there's some places that have really sophisticated full-time people that weather is their passion, and and in other places, other municipalities, other counties, it may be pretty much just, this is the fire chief, and weather's part of the job for him, but that's not something that he thinks about in the morning, that this is what I really want to be thinking about.
And it does seem like, Harold, like the Southeast has really, kind of the tornado alleys shifted maybe to the South Central or whatever. And so I think this is great that we're doing this right now, because I feel like people are more, we're, getting the threat more often in this part of the country.
There's also, I think one of the other things we're starting to understand that the Southeast poses some challenges, and they come apart from the weather. That one of the things, when we look in the plains, one of the things that characterizes weather in the plains is a really strong annual cycle. I know that around here, second half of April through the early part of June, that's when my tornado threat is. And outside of that time, it's not very big. We also have a really strong diurnal cycle. I know that my primary threat is, 4 to 9 o'clock at night. and that or the late afternoon, early evening. We don't get very much stuff overnight. That's not true in the Southeast. There's the diurnal cycle and the annual cycle are very weak, and tornadoes literally can happen any time of the day or night, any time of the year. They also have one of the things that characterizes anybody who's chased will know this. One of the things that really is different about the Southeast is rural population density. If you look sort of Alabama, Mississippi, and east, the rural population densities over most of the state is 10 people per square kilometer. You come out here to western Oklahoma and Kansas, and it's less than 1. So you put the same tornado into those regions, even if it doesn't hit a town, there are a lot of people in the path, and there's a lot higher fraction of mobile home population, and so all those things combined to make tornadoes in the Southeast particularly dangerous.
So is the research
like
more?
we just,
Sorry, Dana. Go ahead.
Oh, it just seemed like we did a story on weather.com about cool season tornadoes, and those were on the uptick.
Yeah,
and what is now what we consider Dixie Alley, and not Tornado Alley.
Right. I think there's some pretty good evidence that we're seeing an increase in the Southeast. Now there's some technical issues with how we look at the data. Is this changing in our quality of our reports that we didn't have years ago? One of the things about if you look at Oklahoma and Kansas, when the predecessor of the National Severe Storms Lab came out here in the mid 1950s, they did a field project every spring. We had a lot of awareness of weather occurring, and so we probably were doing a better job of reporting tornadoes out here in the 50s than we were any other place in the country. And you get into the South, because we were flying planes around thunderstorms with tornadoes back in the 50s. Yeah. And so I don't know how big of an effect, or if there is even an effect, of different parts of the country changing the quality of their reports at different times. That's a small caveat, but there's some other evidence from the environments that suggest that probably the cool season threat is increasing in the Southeast. But it's hard to quantify at this point, just because we don't have everything we do with tornadoes. Our records aren't long enough. Could you get me 10 more years? I'd be really happy. Well, how about 10 more? And so that's what we're always looking for.
Yeah.
And, question about one of your research papers you did about tornado variability. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was really fascinating that you found since the 70s, maybe talk a little bit about this. Sure. Since the 70s, you found that the actual maybe annual occurrence hasn't really changed, but the number of tornadoes per day might have changed. So maybe less days the same days overall, but more in a certain amount of days.
Yeah. If what appears to be our best reporting and sort of consistent over time is our tornado F1 and greater tornadoes. F0 is where all the report inflation has taken place, and it turns out actually when we brought in the Fujita scale in the mid to late 1970s, they went back and they retrospectively rated the tornadoes earlier than that, and it looks like they overrated the intensity for like F2 and above. But F1 and above looks to be relatively consistently reported, and that's about 500 F1 and greater tornadoes a year is what occur in the United States right now. In the early 1970s, we averaged about 150 days per year with at least one somewhere in the country. That number is now down below 100. Okay. But the number of big days, the number of days with a lot of tornadoes have changed. Mm-hmm. And so back in the 70s, there was roughly one day every other year that had 30 or more F1 and greater tornadoes on it. And now that number is about 2 to 3 per year. And the big days have gotten bigger, but there are fewer days overall, and it works out that we end up with about 500 per year on average overall. And without that number's been pretty. There's a slight downward trend of I think it's 5 tornadoes over the 40-year period. That's close enough to zero to call it zero. But the number of days has gone from 150 to less than 100.
Yeah, some more extreme events. Yeah. Okay, I thought that was cool. Yeah.
All right, Harold, tell our listeners, viewers, how can they follow you or find you on social media?
Well, on Twitter, I'm HeBrooks87, HeBrooks 87, and that's the only thing you can really follow me on. I do Facebook, but that's pretty friendly.
Is that because there were 86 people before you with that?
No,
same-
it is not. My
Okay.
wife and I got married in 1987. So that's
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And you'll see if you go in there, you'll in addition to weather, you'll see things about competitive middle school math that I help my wife coach at her school.
Nice.
And you'll probably see some volleyball stuff. So you'll see my non-work hobbies will show up in there as well as weather. And I'll probably ramp up the weather a little bit here as we get into the spring.
Well, and do this. Tell us what's on your T-shirt. Share that.
My shirt is actually I borrowed this shirt from my wife. This is I Love Public Education. This is one of the shirts that she's gotten to wear as part of the activities that are going on currently in Oklahoma, and trying to figure out what we could do to help improve funding for public education in the state of Oklahoma.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey guys, it is time. Since you just got done talking about our Lightning Round Tour T-shirt, it is time for the Lightning Round, which is our game show of brilliant questions, arguable, for our guest. And we always invite everybody to play along, including you. So tonight, we're playing a version of Don't Forget the Lyrics. We're just calling it Don't Forget the Quote. So don't say, "Oh shoot," because I got a feeling you're going to mop this up, Mr. Brooks.
Okay.
I don't perform always well under pressure.
There's no pressure. Just a big prize.
I have discovered that you are a hobbyist of medieval European history. Is that correct?
This is true.
All
I'm
right,
currently
so-
listening to a book about the three Edwards, the three Edward Plantagenet kings of England.
As
he's gonna
interesting
kill
as
it.
that sounds. Yeah, as interesting as that sounds.
Hey, I learned this week about a gentleman named Thomas Blanket, the guy who first wove blankets, and they're named for him. That was
All
something.
right.
Oh, no. That was a
He's got
person's
this.
name?
That's
Yes,
pretty
Thomas
good.
Blanket.
So there you go. So
Wow.
if you listen to our podcast for anything, you listen because you find out Thomas Blanket and what he discovered and all that. So anyway, Harold, we're going to be playing Don't Forget the Quote, and we're going to be talking a little Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And what we're going to do, I'm going to give you a quote. You got to fill in the blank. And if you don't fill in the blank, I'm going to turn it over to the freaks, and they get to try and fill in the blank, and we'll see who wins at the end. Sound good?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And I don't know if the freaks are familiar with Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but we'll find out. My guess is you're going to mop this up. So here we go. Quote number 1. Fill in the blank. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of
Elderberries.
Yeah.
elderberry.
Bam!
Oh, he's got this.
That is
Win.
correct. All right. Quote number 2. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen?
African swallow.
I'm going to give it to you. It's
Yeah,
actually
swallow,
just
yeah.
swallow.
Yeah, swallow.
But
Yeah.
he did ask
Sorry.
later.
I'm
sorry.
sure Harold's right, Phil. Just give
Was
it.
it European or African? But I will give you.
Yeah,
It is a
that's
swallow.
true.
Good
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
All right.
yeah. Laden or unladen?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So 2 for 2. Here we go. Question. Quote number 3. The knights who say blank.
Knee.
That's correct.
Thank God he's getting these because I don't know any of
Nicky,
them.
Nicky.
I only knew that one.
Yeah, I would give you that. I'd probably give you 2 points for that one, Harold, if you'd pick that second one. All right. Quote number 4 out of 10. It's just a flesh.
Wound.
Whoa, that's an easy one.
Yeah.
All right. Quote number 5. You must now cut down the tallest tree in the forest with
A shrubbery.
no.
No, a herring.
Oh, you just. I'm going to
Herring,
turn it over to the freaks.
Herring.
They get to
Sorry,
guess.
herring.
They get to guess. Freaks. What's the answer?
What he said,
A
Harry.
herring.
Aaron.
Herring. I'm going to give that to the freaks. You gave it.
Yeah.
That was just pity.
All right. All right.
That was pity from
Thanks,
us.
Harold.
You're welcome.
Very good. So here you gave him a point. That's all right. That happens in soccer. It happens in volleyball sometimes, right?
Yeah. That's
know,
what the coach. That's what coaches
Out of
tell me.
bounds. It was spiked and out of bounds.
I will say this, Harold. One of the things I was going to do is I was going to look up like famous volleyball players or do something on volleyball, but all I could think of was like Karch Karai and Steve Timmons, and that was about as far as I got with famous volleyball players that at least I knew. All right, quote number 6. What are you gonna do? Blank on me? What are you gonna do? Blank
I know. Bleed.
Bingo, bleed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Impressive.
All right, number 7. You've got 2 empty halves of blank, and you're banging them together.
Coconuts.
Yeah.
Coconuts.
Yes.
Oh,
Famous horse
I want to
scene.
watch this movie now. Oh my
Oh, it's
god.
awesome.
Number 8. If she weighed same as a duck, she's made of
Wood.
wood. You got it correct.
Yep.
Oh my
If she's
god.
made of wood,
She's
she
made of
floats.
wood.
She
She's
floats. She's a witch.
Yeah.
Burn her! Burn her! All right. Number 9. Look, that blank's got a vicious streak a mile wide. It's a killer.
Rabbit.
Rabbit.
Yes.
The rabbit of Carabanog. Yes.
God, I
Oh my
told you that.
God.
I knew
Dina,
that
have
one.
you
All
not
right.
seen this movie?
Like years ago, and I can't remember any of it.
Watch it again. These are all.
I'll send you my DVD. All right, number 10. Who are you who can summon fire without flint or tinder? There are some who call me blank.
Tim
I'll
the
repeat it.
Enchanter.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is
Merlin.
Tim.
Yeah,
You're
Tim the
correct.
Enchanter.
You're
Yeah,
correct. Tim.
Nice.
There are
Wow.
some
Oh my
who call
gosh.
me
Wow.
Tim. Very good. All right. Great job.
Wow.
Great job. You got it. You're
Wow.
9 out of 10.
Wait a minute. I have
Actually,
one more.
Okay, go.
Oh no.
Okay. Number 11. Bring out your.
Dead.
Dead.
Bring out your dead.
I'm not dead
Bring
yet.
out your dead. I'm not,
Not
dead,
dead
yet.
Not dead yet. Actually, I feel like I could get up and start walking around. You know? Quiet. No. All right. Well done. Thanks for playing along, Harold.
All right, Harold.
welcome.
Good job.
You know, I knew you would do well. I didn't realize you would do that well. And when you told me you had the holy hand grenade in your bookshelf, then I thought, oh, he's gonna nail this.
I actually
He was gonna
have.
clean up.
I actually have a disclaimer slide on some talks that contains a large part of the dialogue from the movie.
I want to listen to that. All right. So, hey, we're going to go ahead and take a short break. If you're listening to the audio podcast, you'll get to hear the latest edition of the Titan U Minute with Chris Sanner. But stay right here. We'll be back to discuss if the National Weather Service should be getting their feet into social media, internet, TV streaming, and other media. All right.
Cool.
First break.
Cool.
Harold, great
Wow.
job, man.
Okay,
That was
I'm gonna get my hand grenade to bring it up here in case I get in the
Okay.
trouble.
Ah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
do that. I'm gonna quick go refill my drink. I'll be right back too. Hold on.
All
Yeah,
right.
actually, I
Carol.
should do that too.
Wow, they are doing 2 drinks, Dina. So,
minimum.
Dina. So,
Yeah.
Dina, do you stay at the same place every time you go there?
No, well, I wanted the same place this year we were last time, but of course it was booked, and I booked it like months ago.
Oh gosh.
But we're always in the same, like right there where was it Highway 98 right through Destin? It goes
Yeah.
from like Miramar Beach to Destin to Fort Walton. Like we always stay in there.
Okay.
So we always know the best places to eat.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Heather Tesh is down here too.
Nice.
Yeah. So we told her to go to, if you're ever down here, you got to go to like our favorite places, the Fudpuckers.
Yeah.
It's got live alligators and alligator shows, and oh my god, it's so much fun.
Oh.
So
what about
I've totally fallen off the wagon. I think I did one workout and I drank a lot.
Dina, it's good to take a break once in a while, and then you
I
get
know, but
invigorated
well-
and get back in it.
Yeah, well, my whole like 80-day thing ends next week, so I had done 70, like really, like literally 72 days without a drink. I was like, I can't take it.
You can't go to the
It's-
beach
I'm
and
on
not
vacation.
drink.
I know. I'm like,
Wow.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Exactly.
I mean, if when you're drunk, you don't care.
Yeah, that's right. You might tomorrow morning, but you don't right now.
I don't care this week. I may care next week. I don't know, but
Right.
I'm having a good time. So the family's having a good time. We woke up this morning. It was cold outside, but
Yeah.
even it was like in the 50s or something like that, real low 50s. But
Yeah.
you look outside and it's still people in shorts and a sweatshirt. And we get up pretty early and take a walk on the beach. And then, by the afternoon, it's warm again. And
Yeah.
who cares? We're out laying in the bathing suits.
I love it.
We don't care.
We went to Grand Canyon. We went to Arizona, did Sedona, Flagstaff, Grand Canyon. The kids saw their first dust devil. It was amazing. It was really, they're like,
nice.
what is that over there, Mom? I'm like, whoa. So it was really cool.
I'd be that drunk idiot jumping in it. I'm like,
Yeah, I did
"Come
used to do that. I used to do that. I got
do it."
pelted. Yeah.
Did you?
My friend, they had one of those little aluminum swimming pools. It got all messed up. I mean, it did some damage. There's some dust.
You got to get like an Iron Man suit on,
Yeah,
like
you
dress
do.
up as Iron Man and then jump in it.
And
But,
jump in.
and then jump in it.
All right.
but-
Hey, Harold, can you do a quick sound bite for us?
I don't know.
If you can just say, this is Harold Brooks of the Severe Storms Laboratory. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
This is Harold Brooks of NOAA's National Severe Storms Laboratory, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Good.
What a pro.
You're one of a few.
Yes, sir.
I actually did 2 years of college basketball broadcasting when I was in college. So
There you go.
Oh God!
All right.
All right.
And you didn't even have the phonetic pronunciation in front of you, and you still nailed it. Very good.
That's
well,
awesome.
fortunately, you had the sign back behind you.
Ah, okay. Because I
He's
couldn't
reading the prompter.
tell. You
I was-
kinda
I
struggled
almost did
slightly
Storm
on
Freaks front, and so that
it. And you wouldn't have been the first.
I
I'll
would
tell
have
you
figured that. Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Well,
he's
wait,
sober.
All right, so we're gonna wait for Brady's coming back, and then what we're gonna do. So I'll go ahead and introduce the discussion, which is basically just talking about how the National Weather Service is kind of dipping their toes in, not obviously just data, but they're social media. They're starting to find ways to report and inform the public of things. Obviously, they've constantly been kind of updating their website. It seems like some have even done some video, have done some things. Certain WFO offices seem to do that. But so I want to talk a little bit about should the National Weather Service just go full bore into, hey, let's get into communicating with the public instead of just communicating with the meteorologists and such that would do that communication. Should they go full bore? Should they stay out of that realm, or should they kind of keep doing a little of what works and maybe not what doesn't, and talk, just have an open discussion on what you guys personally have opinions on what you think they should do. Make sense?
Sure.
And then we'll go to our second break. Okay, that'll be probably a little bit after the top of the hour.
Okay.
Any questions, anybody?
Nope.
Ready
All right.
to go.
Let's do this. MJ, you can.
Yeah,
I was
sorry,
gonna do it,
I was-
but you can do it. That's fine.
I was texting. I'll do it.
I'm just used to you doing it. That's all.
No phones, MJ.
Don't text and
Yeah, I know.
podcast.
Don't text and podcast. But dang it, you stole my line. Dang it, Dina. Such
All
a good
right.
Quicker.
Here we go. Ready, set. 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back. For the most part, the National Weather Service, they've kind of stayed away from producing any kinds of forecast or storm reporting video on TV or streaming. However, they've certainly gotten more involved in creating social media posts and website enhancements. I guess the question we want to talk about is, with this kind of dipping of the toes in media approach that they have, should the National Weather Service, should they go all in, and should they start producing video, and should they start streaming storm reports and warning reports and forecasts, or should they get out of it, let TV and other private companies do the communication with the public, or should they kind of stay where they're at right now, which is kind of in the middle? What do you guys think they should be doing? And I'm actually going to
jump
start
in
with
on that
Dina.
one.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was already talking. I'm just going to get in there. I mean, communication, the more communication you have, the better. I mean, for anything, the more you communicate, the better. That said, I would not like to lose my job being with the Weather Channel's weather.com and doing all their digital weather and things. But I do enjoy when I see like National Weather Service offices do videos, or, you know, the more they communicate like on NWS chat or Twitter, or make themselves available, because sometimes there's even information after I dig, I can't find it, and I will chat them or tweet them, and they're very helpful in giving me the information I need. And I love when they tweet videos or Facebook videos, because those are pretty much public domain that we can use too on weather.com. So that said, I love that they jump in, and I hope they do more. Just not so much I'm out of a job. That's pretty much what I
agree,
say.
Dina. I agree. And if you think about it, I mean, be realistic. People are not looking at the television as much as they used to. They're just not. So anyway, they're on different platforms, whatever. So they should hit every platform. I agree. And if they're always there, then before, you'd have to wait, go to the TV, turn it on, have to wait for the meteorologist to come on. Sometimes some stations don't let the weather people on right away, you know. And so to me, it's a win-win situation. Get them out there, let them do what they got to do, let them stream, you know, be live, whatever. I think you have to do it. You have to. That's today.
Who do we think is like their target audience? Who do we think like they're trying to communicate? Because I think that's an important point. Because like if I were to go and show, you know, Joe Schmo off the street, you know, the SPC report, he would have no idea what we're talking about.
No.
So I think a very important point that needs to be figured out is who exactly the audience is that, you know, the National Weather Service wants to communicate to. Because I think there could be a lot of value in almost doing like a briefing to like TV forecasters or people that work at the Weather Channel. So that really they're all on the same page. I think there could be a lot of value in that.
I do like their little videos. Some of them do. Like, you know, you could read the SPC Outlook and, you know, what they think is the biggest. Is it hail? Is it large hail, damaging winds? Or is there a bigger tornado threat? Or is it 2% tornado threat? So I would love to hear more from them. Like I said, the more communication, the better. You know, but it is, you know, when you think about them, you think really it's more science heavy, which is not the public. So maybe they're the science heavier side, and then they kind of, you know, at least for now. And then, you know, we kind of like, I don't want to be a jerk here, but dumb it down and present it in an easier way.
Yeah,
you're laughing, but you know what I mean, right?
I'm curious to see, Harold, what is working? You know, what are you guys doing? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, let me put my official hat on and take it off, because as NOAA, we have to walk a pretty careful line with how we do some things, and I'm going to basically give you my opinion. I have no idea if anybody in NOAA else agrees with me on any of this, and part of it is that there's some real challenges for weather services. I see it, and perhaps some opportunities. There are offices right now that I think are very effective at doing sort of 10 a.m. to noon. Let's do here's the weather story of the day for big days, be it winter weather, be it severe weather, that they'll talk about. Here's what we think is going to happen. Here's the uncertainties. And that primary audience is typically what they think of as their core partners, emergency managers, broadcasters, to where they can do in effect, they're trying to answer a set of questions that they know they're going to get from 30 or 40 different high-end users, and let's do it one time. And have it set up to where you can see it if you weren't on right at the right moment, and that usually those are most of the offices I see that while there's some technical content, it's at a low enough level that most people can look at it. Like if I talk to people at a school, I'll tell them, hey, you ought to look at that, because that'll give you some idea of what's happening. And if I tell you what's going to happen, I'm pretty much going to have watched that and just translate it into words that you understand. But go ahead and give that a shot, and you can look at it in case I'm not available or not around. I think one of the things that's when we get down to the shorter time frames, and we start talking about that, for tornadoes, say the warning time frame, that gets to be a lot more problematic, except perhaps on the NWS chat kind of a venue, because there's not a weather service office in the country that isn't essentially very close to being short-staffed. And so how many people can you dedicate to maintaining all of those streams, and what do you do when today we're short? And yesterday, hey, we had plenty of people. We had somebody yesterday who could do this, to dedicate to this, and today, we're one person short. So that's the first thing that goes, because we need somebody putting warnings out.
Well, I don't think not only that, Harold, but the fact that are there people on staff at each WFO that really have the skills to report that information, and communicate with the public?
Right.
And certainly the National Weather Service is not in a position to start hiring that many more people to make sure there's one of those in each office.
And one of the things is that our friends in the say the TV community, their primary job is to communicate. And they know how to tell stories. They know how to communicate information in a way that they think that they believe is understood, and that a lot of viewers trust that person for good reasons or bad reasons. The TV people who come into their houses on a regular basis they view them as friends. The number of people I know that they'll see somebody like that out on the street, and they almost feel like they know them already, even though they've never met them in their life.
Yeah, but fewer people are watching that, though.
Oh, fewer people are watching, but then again,
is there an opportunity there?
Well, but then they're also doing things in various other media ways. Like they're doing their own Facebook video, they're doing their own Twitter feeds in ways, so that there may be fewer people watching, but they're also watching them in other formats. One of the problems is the Weather Service. There are some people who are really good at the storytelling. There are other people, frankly, that aren't so good at it. And if you think about it, if you think about why I do the job I do as opposed to doing the job that you do, is part of it is, I can tell stories, but I don't want to do that all the time. And so if I'm I don't have some of the structure, some of the background to actually do that as well. And I guarantee you there aren't enough people to cover every shift of a Weather Service office that are really good at it. And if you start having people who aren't good at it doing it, that's a bad, hey, TV, you got a bad reporter, they don't last very long, right?
No.
So I think that's one of the things. We're still learning a lot about even just regular social media stuff. We did an experiment. It actually turned out to be my PhD student. Now, back when she was an undergraduate, we did a project on looking at how Twitter messages spread with weather, and things that got retweeted a lot, things that seemed to be, and we found that things that were retweeted came from trusted sources. So lots of Weather Service stuff gets retweeted, lots of TV station stuff gets retweeted. Organizations that people have some interaction with. But we also found that there were some, as we all have seen, things that like, we forgot to include the time. So we're retweeting the location. There's a tornado at 114th and Western in Moore, Oklahoma. Well, that actually was an hour ago.
Yeah.
That tornado's not there anymore. You're okay if you live 5 miles east of there now. And I think that's one of the things that we haven't really figured out. And I don't think that the Weather Service, what's the right way to sort of structure, if you think of Twitter as a language, how do we put the subject, verb, predicate together in a way that the information is contained? Should it be the thing? So tornado, time, location, or should it be some other ordering of things that make sure that when they get, if someone says something, they don't chop off important information, or that it also gets the information out that you want. We have today we had a tornado drill in the National Weather Center. This is such an exciting event. But it didn't. But the information, I actually was told a minute before the drill that it was about to happen, because somebody I was meeting with who knew that the drill was coming said, "Well, in a minute, we're gone." So I said, "Okay, so we'll go down." And even with us, it took them 15 seconds to say the word tornado. They come on. We ding ding. This is an emergency notification.
Yeah.
You should be taking action. Tornado drill, and you go, because okay, if it's active shooter, I hide in my office. If it's a fire, I'm running out of the building as fast as I can. If it's tornado, I'm supposed to be going downstairs to the basement. And they took 15 seconds before they hit the word tornado.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's so, that was not a very effective bit of communication. And we can't do that in our building. So,
Oh my God.
Think about it, that's something that,
Wow.
building message discipline of how do you actually frame, because since we don't know what the best way to do it is, building a system that actually uses those best practices, we don't have any idea what the best practices are. And then how do we work with our partners? There are a lot of places where there are a lot of places where weather service and TV station or other local media, other trusted users have really good relationships. Some places that's not true. If I can trust that when we if a weather service person turns that message over to the media, by the time it gets translated, is it the same message? Years ago, there was about 5 years ago, one of the most effective messages that ever went out from a National Weather Service office was a tornado warning in Nashville, Tennessee. Taylor Swift retweeted it.
Wow.
Oh my
All of a sudden, a couple 100,000 people have seen this. There's a tornado warning in Nashville. I don't know who the Taylor Swift is in Oklahoma City or in Atlanta or someplace like that you could get. I imagine right now if Oklahoma City, if they could get Russell Westbrook to retweet every major weather announcement, that might actually make an impact.
Yeah.
But who is that person in that local municipality? How do you get them to actually do it?
Yeah.
And do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Let them hate Taylor Swift if it doesn't happen.
yeah, right.
Just think about the money. Like if you even break it down just to money, I mean, the government or the National Weather Service or any of that, everybody's running on fumes. It seems like everybody needs more people. And then you think about, okay, so I look at my weather.com group and how many people we have there and how many on camera people we have there to convey the message, how many people we have looking for information or damage reports or power outages, and then like even more meteorologists like myself who are trying to draw like forecast graphics. And there's so many people that go into it. There's no way, one group can do it. I mean, I don't think, and do it. I mean, I think there's so many people that are so good at what they do specifically. I don't think I could step into your position and do that, even a fraction of what you could do it.
Right.
But then,
And I think one of the things we always talk about is consistent messaging. And, there are times that people think that means identical messaging. And that's not the same thing. We want messages that are at least consistent with each other. And that may mean, you've got pretty graphics to show somebody. Okay, well, so it doesn't say the same thing as the words I said, or my crude graphics say, or you may be able to say something that, that we have somebody communicates, say, with the local schools. Well, you don't necessarily give the same message to that school at 3:00 in the afternoon as you would at 8:00 in the evening. They've got a whole different, if they've got an evening activity going on, it's a whole different kind of people there. And so that the message may be consistent, but it doesn't necessarily have to be identical out of every source.
But I do think what comes out of any kind of government office, whether it's the Severe Storms Lab or National Weather Service or SPC or whatever, I think people do take that as I think there's nobody who does not take it credible.
Right. Yeah. And I've had things where, in effect, there are times when I have friends that I now know, and this puts at times a little pressure on me. If there's a major weather event going on where I have friends, especially severe weather event, they kind of expect me to say something.
Yeah.
And I know that there are times when I have posted things from SPC that I'm basically regurgitating exactly what they said. Maybe with a little bit of a different, I'll change a verb.
Yeah.
But that, and I will see my friends repost it or do something else with it or share it, and they'll be telling their people, you should listen to this because this is my friend who knows what he's talking about. Right. And it's like, wow, yeah, baby, but I'm also pretty much I'm actually using publicly available information. But that notion of the trusted source, is a big deal. That I know, for the local TV stations around here, I know their styles. So I know when I see a message on one of the stations, it's not going to sound exactly the same, but the basic heart of the message is still there, and I can interpret the different stations appropriately. If I go to another place, if I'm out of town, I'm in, say, Indianapolis, I don't know anybody working in Indianapolis anymore, and so I listen to him and I go, okay, what is that? The fact that I know that James Spann, if you see the suspenders and the sleeves rolled up, boy, it's bad.
Yeah,
I know that much if I go to Birmingham, but that I don't know what the guy I don't know if I go to Columbus, I don't know what little cues I should be looking for in Columbus.
Yeah.
So,
but there's, you touched on an important piece, because I think that people think meteorologists know what's going on everywhere across the country at every moment, that we're a database in our brain. Like, I may not be looking at a certain part of the country. I might be looking at something else. And that's where my focus has been. So I do look to a trusted source, to the National Weather Service or something. And then I can kind of take their information that I haven't had time to look at personally, and then kind of, relay that information, because one person can't, especially if it's an active weather day. You could have a storm in the Pacific Northwest. You could have a tornado going on in Texas. You could have a snowstorm going on yet again in the Northeast.
Yeah. And that's, I try to watch out where my, where my family is. That's sort of the bare minimum. But, and then other things where I know I have friends that are in places where I know something really, really big is happening, and it'll be, you really ought to pay attention today. But, there may be a day when, I'm doing something like, that I'm just not around today. They don't know that I'm not around today.
Yeah.
They just know that I'm not saying anything.
It's not in your database brain.
Or I may not be in a place where
everybody asks me stuff, even on vacation. I'm like, I don't know.
But I may not be in a place where I actually can communicate. I've been out of the country. Sometimes, and, I got to tell you, if I'm in Croatia, what's happening in Minnesota is not really high on my radar, and I may not be even have ever. Well, let me rephrase that. It wasn't on my radar until now, and then after tonight, I'll be doing Minnesota all the time.
Yeah.
what I would always get is, so tell me the real deal. It's like, they'll watch their local person. They say, Kim, what's really going on? It's like, well, I could tell you that the chances are maybe not as high, so really, I feel like they really want to know what chance is it really going to happen? They really want to know that more than anything.
Is it hyped, or is it really going to happen?
Right. And I think, and one of the things is that one of the big things about the trusted source idea is that, in effect, you feel like somebody's holding your hand through the situation. Boy, and they're going, hey, you're going to be okay. Or they're going to go, today you really, you cleaned out the shelter.
Yeah.
Or maybe today's not a real good day to go on the golf course.
Yeah.
Because you can have a problem, and you may be an hour away from getting shelter. Yep. And I think that's that
hurricane really gonna hit us?
Yeah.
Should I evacuate?
And I think the tornado world, one of the problems we run into, as I said earlier, is the time frame issue is a real problem. If you take, they issue an evacuation order for you for a hurricane, you wait 10 minutes to think, okay, are we really doing this? You're further back in line in traffic.
Yeah.
Or you wait 10 minutes at a tornado situation, and you might not have an option left.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'll tell you what. We always ask our listeners, viewers, let us know what you guys think. Email us at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com, or go ahead and find us on Twitter or Facebook. Tag us your thoughts so that we can share that on our next show. We're going to go ahead and take our final break. You can refill your drink, and when we come back, it's time to share our amazing WX resources and see who else gets added to our legendary weather fools. Very good.
All right, nice.
That was
discussion,
awesome.
guys.
All right.
Thank
Good.
you.
That's good.
All right. So here's the question, Harold. How are you feeling? You sticking around, or you?
Oh, I might
heading
as
out?
well. I might as well.
What the hell?
Yeah.
What the hell? It's 10 after 9 o'clock.
That's
I
right.
got nothing else to do.
That's right. Well, and I since my wife's not in school tomorrow, I get to, she'll be sleeping in, and I don't have to get up quite as early. So it's
There you go.
It's a
Good.
All right.
Yeah.
So spend some time with us. I appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.
All right. So let's do this. So we're going to get into our WX resources and weather fools. So Dina, we're going to have you bring it back in from break.
Okay.
And remember what we're doing now, what MJ is doing for the audio podcast. And this is what I now do as well. So I edit this recording for Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV. And so what we do is we now have an applause. It's like a studio audience. So if you haven't heard the show, which by God, co-host,
Listen to the show.
you better listen to the fucking show.
We have a show. I didn't even know we had a podcast.
Sorry,
There
everybody.
you go.
My ears.
So, sorry. We have an applause. Anyway, so we come in from all of our breaks with a studio audience applause. So, Dina, you're going to be coming in with an applause.
Nice.
All
That's
right.
the way I always walk in the door, baby.
Exactly. You and Maz. I don't know what it is about you two, but
Show business.
so we'll send it to you so you can, Dina, you can do the welcome back, introduce what WX Resources is. And then
Okay.
you can go through everybody that's got one, and then you probably shouldn't forget this. We're episode 50, so remind people they can find any links to any of these resources on our show notes. If they go to stormfrontfreaks.com, they can pull up the episode and then look under the episode show notes. And then Brady, you got Weather Fools. So go ahead and introduce that segment. Same thing, episode 50. Then we'll turn it over to MJ for any listener questions and responses, which, by the way, I've got one from Twitter tonight that I want to share.
Okay,
So-
you do that one and then turn it over to me.
Okay, that's fine. I'll do that one first then.
By the way, Phil, you kind of had a time lapse that went a little viral there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Your
that
time
was,
lapse,
Yeah.
that was awesome.
that was cool. I just happened to be at the right place. I didn't have to chase for that. I just
Yeah.
walked outside the
Are
door.
you kidding? Oh, that's so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that was a good one. There are a couple other things I got that day that I drove to and found out, but yeah, that one was just a matter of setting up the old iPhone and hit play, and I was in my car
Yeah.
No way.
as well. And as that sucker rolled in, that was pretty cool. All right, so we'll do that. Then MJ listener questions after and then we'll close it out. So first question is WX resources. Who has a WX resource?
I do.
I got one.
Kim,
Kim.
Kim,
Kim,
Brady, I have
Phil,
one.
Dina.
Phil.
And then question is, Harold, do you have a weather resource you'd want to share?
Okay, I could do SPC. That's all I really would put down. So that's the only one I would really have. That's,
Wait, have we? I don't think we've done SPC yet, have we,
Sure.
Phil? We haven't done SPC.
Might have been episode
Let's do
2.
it. So what?
yeah, that's what I would think. Yeah. So
Which would have been like 2 years ago. So it's certainly fair that we do it now. So Harold will give you
Mhm.
a WX resource as well. Okay. And then weather fools. Who's got a weather fool?
I do.
Ooh.
Brady, Dina.
I came prepared.
Phil does. I've got a weather fool. And a weather fool, Harold, this is just somebody or some entity doing something stupid in a weather situation. We like to put people under the bus here. And sometimes it's
You
us,
know.
to be honest with you.
Yep.
I could. You can't even dream of the amount of trouble I could get in.
Oh,
I'm
Oh,
gonna
come
choose-
on. Oh, what
no
the
one
hell?
listens to this podcast.
Dude,
no one
you're
listens to
pretty-
this.
Just
I've
us.
had that before too. Yes.
All right, so Brady, Dina, and Phil, and then if Harold feels like having an early retirement, he'll throw one in as well.
So
Okay.
Phil, how long is the applause thing when we come back?
No, it's
that I
not.
can
It's
start
not very
clapping?
long. So you
No.
can just say, hey, welcome back. Maz last episode, I think he said thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
You know, he did something silly
Thank
like
you,
that.
Thank you very
Just,
much.
all you got to do is just say, hey, welcome back. Let's get into our WX resources. These are websites or products or books or whatever that are beneficial or we use. Or
We're
something.
not applauding, are we?
No, God, no. We're not applauding Dina. Are you kidding me?
I would applaud you.
Only when you're cool.
I'd be happy to applaud you.
Okay.
Thank you,
all right.
Brady.
No problem.
So, and here's one thing I want to bring up to Brady and Dina. Last show, we stopped sharing our screen, and here's
Okay.
why. Is
What?
Because listen, what happens if you actually listen to the show, you'll notice
take
that
too long.
as an audio podcast, there's a lot of laughing, and there's a lack of explanation of what everybody's laughing about or everybody's looking at. Especially with Weather Fools, I think
That's fair.
most importantly.
That's
Now I'll
fair.
say this: you can share your screen. I don't have a problem with that, but it was a situation where, especially for Weather Fools, it'd be like, oh, look at that! Oh, there's all these people laughing. Oh, that's hilarious! And there's like, what the fuck's going on? When you're listening, you have no idea of what you're watching. You have no idea of what you're watching. So that's why I thought, you know what, let's stop sharing our screen and see how good we are at explaining what we're talking about. And then we're just directing people, hey, go to the website, stormfrontfreaks.com, pull up the episode and look at the show notes. You'll find all the links, and you got to watch it yourself. And it's great. It's hilarious. And
Plus, it won't get us any copyright violations on YouTube.
Good point.
that as well.
Good
We got
point.
one of those ones.
So I think everyone's optional except for Kim. I think Kim should be. She still should
Oh,
have-
that's right.
Need the bloopers.
that was actually the Kim rule that we put in place. We call that the Kim rule. Is we're going to stop sharing screens.
now that I
I'm
finally got it
kidding.
figured out, you guys are going to stop doing it.
I'm kidding. I'm
Oh,
kidding.
man.
All right.
Oh.
So is everybody ready? Anybody have any questions? Harold, we will go to you for your WX resource. Okay.
I do. I have a question.
Yes.
Are we sharing the screen or not?
I would say no.
Okay, thank you.
Now,
No, I don't think
especially with the
so.
Weather Fools. Weather Fools is the one where it just got to be kind of
Okay.
okay. I have no idea what you guys are laughing at.
Okay.
If you guys want to share, just put your link in the chat. So if
No, don't put it in the chat. Email it to me because I can't. Get
Oh.
it. When I put the show notes together, which is going to be tomorrow or Saturday, I can't go back to the chat to pull it. You got to just email me the link.
Okay.
And you really need to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you for it, or I got to try and search for it, which is a pain in the ass.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry.
Everybody
All
ready?
right. Yes.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Harold. You are a celebratory Stormfront freak.
That's blue, Phil. I don't know if you should drink that.
Because it's got a splash of blue curacao in it.
Do you put combs in
Like
that?
that, don't you?
I do like that. That's my new drink. It's the Diet Dew vodka and blue curacao.
Some mouthwash. Is that mouthwash, Phil?
It can work for that too. Yeah. I'd be happy to kiss you.
Oh, no.
Oh boy! All right, we better get going.
Wait, what kind of show is this?
All right, exactly. Let's do this. Let's count in Dina with weather resources. We have 5 tonight. That's awesome.
Wow.
WX resources. All right, MJ, count Dina in.
Here you go, Dina. Ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the time for WX resources, and we have plenty of them tonight. These weather resources are really just great resources that you can look to find good information that the group of us find together. And if you want to reference them, go to episode 50 on stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 50 show notes, and that's where you'll find them all. So Brady, I think you have a WX resource, correct?
Yep, I do, Dina. And mine is more a place to go after a day of severe weather. And it's more your local National Weather Service. They'll do a damage survey. And we just recently had a tornado that came through Columbus, Ohio. It hit Grove City, EF1. And it's really cool because your local National Weather Service will go do a damage survey, do a write-up, and tell you, the fatalities, the injuries, the width of the tornado, the path of the tornado, and they'll actually provide a cool map, that's overlaid, and then the path and the width of the tornado. So it's really cool to go take a look at, how far I was away from the tornado, how long did it last, how strong was it, how strong the winds were. And so it's just a really cool way to go, because I was wondering if there was a tornado, where it was. And this is a really cool way to go. So just go to your local weather service, either on Twitter. Usually like a news station will tweet it out as well. That's how you'll find that. But it's just a really, really interesting tool.
Is it different than the public one?
It is the public one. It is the public one. It's not necessarily a site to go to. It's more just a blob of information that your local weather service will give you.
Awesome.
All right, Kim, you've got a weather WX resource, correct?
I do. And I had to do something on the April 3rd and 4th super outbreak, right? Because I just think it was crazy that, the Xenia area had a tornado on April 3rd, right? And close to the time that it hit back in 74. So I found this website. It's actually, I think, a Fox affiliate, WDRB.com. And on it, there's iconic images from the outbreak, and it really has some fantastic pictures, just incredible images of the Xenia tornado, the Xenia High School that was hit, also a setup of some of the atmospheric conditions that came together for it. And this is actually out of Louisville, by the way, a Louisville station. Satellite imagery. How about the radar of the hook echo of Xenia? You see that? Also, of course, the famous poster of all the tornadoes that day that had from Dr. Fujita that he put together along with Dr. Forbes, which I have an autographed copy of, by the way. Also listing all the F4s, F5s, F3s, and pictures out of Louisville, DePaul, some of the F5s that hit Main Street here in Madison, Brandenburg, Kentucky. Looks like a bomb went off there. Just absolutely incredible images. And also actually showing the tornado crossing the Ohio River into the Cincinnati area. That's where I saw the tornado, crossing Ohio River and heading up the west side of Cincinnati. So just a pretty cool website. I think anybody that's, interested in that super outbreak back in 74 would find some of these images very fascinating.
Kim, was that Fujita or Fajita?
Fajita.
Okay.
Fujita. Mr. Fujita. Dr. Fujita. Did I say fajita?
No.
Okay.
No, I just said it.
She's possible. She can handle her beer.
I know. Anyway, so yeah, that's it. It's fox41blogs.typepad.com. That's where you find it.
All right, Howard, our guest of the night. What do you have for us?
Harold.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm drinking.
That's what Harold. That's what tends to happen when our introduction segment is happy hour.
Man, I don't know how I'm going to pick our show title. This is going to be tough.
I don't know.
This is going to be
before I just walk
I
out of
haven't
the room.
drank. I finally got some drinks in me.
Before I just walk out of the room, you should know that my older brother's name is Howard.
No,
that's confusing.
See?
You
it's
totally
not
knew that,
me.
right? You totally knew that.
Yeah, and
I did know that. Shut up, Brady.
We've the number of people who have called us by the wrong name who don't know the other one exists is large. My brother actually won a national award in high school, and they put my name on it.
Oh no!
No way.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Yes, yeah, that was pretty.
Okay,
neat.
so now I don't feel so
okay.
bad.
So, well, we'll work on that.
Thank you,
Okay.
Harold.
Okay. So, for me, the number one thing probably is www.spc.noaa.gov, the Storm Prediction Center. Great day-to-day forecast information, climatology information on where storms have occurred in the past. Lots of forecast tool information that you can get that's available there. And if you go to the /WCM #data, you can actually download the entire severe weather database. And you can back to 1950, and you can do things with it that you would like to do.
But Harold, let me ask you this, because the SPC site, the average person has no clue that exists and what it is and outlooks and all that kind of stuff. What's your 2-minute idea on how we can make that more available to the average person so they're aware daily of what the hell's going on around them?
I wish I knew, because it is information dense, and I think that probably most high end users know it exists, and so that's emergency managers and obviously weather people know that it exists. There are times when I'm not sure the general public actually needs it. Because it's it could get translated through their local office that may provide a little more local information attached to it. But it's because I'm not completely sure what I'm supposed to do with the day 7 convective outlook myself.
Yeah.
Other than
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah.
But day 1, I mean, just day one.
I like day 1.
Day.
Yeah, I think it's to me, what I would probably maybe think is that I really want people looking at their local people, and that for me, I mean, our weather forecasts are good enough right now that most days people don't really need to know the weather forecast, but there's certain you ought to pay enough attention to know today's a day I actually do need to watch the weather, and at that point I'd like to probably see local offices and local television stations pointing people towards the SPC, because they might be able to get people who that maybe 5 or 10 times a year. Okay, go take 15 minutes and learn a lot more, 5 minutes even, and learn a lot more about what's going on in your area. But it's a real problem, because it's of how to get people to see more of it. I show it to people all the time, but I don't know how to get it much wider. So
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we have hey Fred.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It starts with a fuck sound, so I'm assuming that's me.
bet
So
you.
my WX resource, so this is the time of year, obviously, for storm spotting and the severe season. And this is one area that I'm very passionate about, that I really think more just average, ordinary, next door neighbor type people can take an hour to 2 hours of their time to just really be a little bit more aware of how to identify what's going on around them. And as Harold talked about a little bit, is identifying resources of where they can find more of what's going on around them from a weather standpoint. And so I encourage, here's the key. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that listen or watch our podcast that are probably not weather savvy to some extent, that aren't spotters, at least bare minimum. And so my passion is to call out all the weather spotters, call out everybody, and say, get your neighbors, get your friends, get your coworkers to a weather spotter class. Or my WX resource is, nowadays, we kind of talked about this, is the National Weather Service getting more involved in other types of media. Go on YouTube. There is just today I looked up, you can look up all kinds of spotter training. Look up severe spotter training on YouTube. And today I found one that's fairly recent, which is 2017. The WFO in Lincoln, so the National Weather Service in Lincoln, Nebraska, has a YouTube video on storm spotter training that's just within the last year or two. You can go on YouTube and find videos, National Weather Service video that teaches you spotter training. And I encourage all the spotters and everybody that listens or watches our show to share something like that, or next time you go to a spotter training class, bring your neighbor with you, bring your coworker with you, bring your friend with you. It's an hour to 2 hours. That's the only commitment you
Bring
make.
your drinking buddy with you.
Yeah, you're at
Bring
the
Howard.
bar.
Bring
You're at
Howard.
the bar for happy hour. The guy you're sitting next to, the gal you're sitting, say, hey, I got a spotter class to go to in the next hour. Hey, come with me. I need a designated driver to get me there.
Every time you say warning, drink.
Well, and I'll say this: my father, after I had moved to Norman and was starting to do, and was at the lab, my father did spotter training in St. Louis, and I remember hanging around in the forecast office in St. Louis during an outbreak, and we got a report of 1-inch hail from my father.
that's cool.
Bingo.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is
Wow.
cool. Well, so that's my XX resource, Dina, is jump on YouTube, search 2017 Lincoln Storm Spotter Training. We'll have the link on our show notes as well. But that's a great example.
Yeah.
All right. I've got the last one, and this is kind of a generic one. It's out of cpc.ncep.noaa.gov, but it's mainly a 3 to 7 day U.S. hazards outlook, and it's a simple graphic. It's a one frame deal, and it really just outlines areas in the continental United States and Alaska for places that you just need to watch for some kind of hazard. Like I'm looking at the current one right now, and they have the Pacific Northwest highlighted for heavy rain. It gives some dates. It gives a big part of the country, a big blue outline that says much below normal temperatures. And then there'll be a place where there's an enhanced fire risk or flood threat. And it's a long kind of ncep.noaa.gov link. So we'll put it on the episode 50 show notes for you, but it's really nice. It's short and sweet. It's one frame, and really mainly I have that bookmarked every day. So I kind of look at it and it just gives me, I wasn't thinking about a fire outlook or something. I better look into that. And it just gives you a broad overview of possible things you're going to have to watch for the whole week. That's it.
Good. That's awesome.
Cool.
All right, let's go ahead and jump to, and I'm going to set this up right now. I just saw a tweet online. This is another new tweet from Helicity Designs. They have just set up. There is now a T-shirt you can buy from HelicityDesigns.com that says "Only you can prevent #WeatherFools."
No.
Seriously.
my gosh.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Nice.
You know,
so
I love
Brittany,
weather
I'm going to
fools.
turn it over to you to introduce this beloved segment.
Like I said, this, it's episode 50 and people are just tweeting. People are making T-shirts about this segment. It's their favorite segment of the show. So what exactly is it? It's Weather Fools. And it's where us as the freaks are going out on the internet. We're looking for someone that did something downright stupid, and we're going to throw them under the bus a little bit. We're going to, I stole that from... Or a lot, right?
or a lot, and then we make fun of them
And
completely.
then we make fun of them, and then you can go view it on our website, stormfromfreaks.com. Phil, who is your weather fool this week?
All right, so my weather fool is actually, I saw this on Twitter about a week ago from @Back to Nature, but it's BACKT and then 0 instead of an O, nature. But they tweeted out an image of a cloud that looked just like Winnie the Pooh sitting back after having a bunch of honey. And I researched this a little bit more. This is actually from 2016. There was a website in England. This is like all the England tabloids. You know how we have National Enquirer, Star, all these
Great
websites.
magazines.
Beautiful. Yeah, totally relevant, right?
Yeah.
And trustworthy. This was in England. There was a website and this was I saw all kinds of websites from news England, especially news companies, that resent out this image of it's a Winnie the Pooh cloud, and it looks exactly like Winnie the Pooh, which is why it's exactly fake. It is completely photoshopped.
Photoshop.
Of Winnie the Pooh sitting, and it's Photoshop because you see where his paws are. There's like little lines in the clouds where his fingers would be or his toes would be. So it's totally Photoshop. But Back to Nature or Back T0 Nature, this was a tweet that was shared 867 times.
Oh, man.
And this was just a week ago, something that was from 2016 that was shared just a week ago, 867 times of a Winnie the Pooh stupid photoshopped cloud.
And we wonder why the National Weather Service doesn't do more on. Interesting. Yeah, that was great. So Dina, I think you've got a weather fool.
Okay,
right?
I do. And this one's, I love the funny videos, but this one's about a woman and she's trying to get in her, I think it's her back door, but of course she's got the wrong footwear on and it's all ice. So her and her dog are trying to get the front door, and it's ridiculous that this girl cannot get in the door. She's sliding all over. She's holding onto the handle. She can't do anything. I mean, the dog finally just left her. The dog said, "Forget it," and just went in the house
Bad when
because
your
she at
dog
least
leaves.
like went down and got
That's a
the
sign.
handle to open it. But I love those kind of videos, especially when
Yep.
When it's not you.
wear the right
When it's not
footwear.
you.
That's right.
You know,
I
it's,
mean,
it's
She have high
Harold,
heels
it's,
on?
it's not
No,
you, but
I
I
don't
think
have
this
that
is
big heels.
this is the second time, Dina, you've shared a woman slipping on ice as a
I
weather
do.
fool.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Only a matter of time.
okay,
You're putting your own
There's
gender under the
time.
bus.
I know, but there's been times like it when I was very young where I was in the heels and skirt in the winter and had to climb through the hatchback because there was so much ice in my car I couldn't get in. And then you kind of learn your lesson. Stop doing
Yeah.
stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Hopefully she learned her lesson.
Yeah, and it's a shame these videos are still relevant.
But
right?
it's funny.
Shame
But
these
don't worry,
videos-
I get the men on driving through floodwaters all the time.
That's right.
That's
What?
where I get the guys. So the women, they wear the wrong footwear and slide on the ice. Men drive through the flooded waters.
Mm.
Fair. That's fair.
Turn around, don't drown.
That's fair. Yep.
All right. Well, I guess I have a bit of weatherful. So mine isn't necessarily like a link, just like my other resource. I know it's very convenient, but mine is. So I told you guys about the tornado that hit Grove City. I was about 5 miles north of that. We had a tornado warning as well, and it was about 5:30. There was maybe 15 or 20 people left in my work. I went around and was like, "Hey guys, I was looking at the radar. I was like, hey, we have a tornado warning. This is pretty dangerous. You probably should get in cover." And
Take cover.
and I was trying not to hype it up, but I was also like, I said it once and no one moved. Said it twice and no one moved. And it was like, I was like, what could you be doing on your computer? And come to find out, there was a tornado 5 miles south of us in that same storm. And it was just like, man, like what would have happened if it would have, been 5 miles north? Or
Maybe
It's-
they just don't know what to do.
Mhm.
But the other problem was, so half of them stayed where they were. The other half got in their cars and left. I was like, that's the worst thing to do. And it was baffling to me how, it was just crazy.
You gotta teach your work how to become a storm ready.
I know.
Uh,
And Phil, that's along with the
workplace,
lines
yeah.
what you were saying. I mean, it's just about getting out there and getting to your neighbor and trying to get them educated.
They're gonna
Yep.
hate you.
I think it just
Brady.
they were probably
Yeah.
waiting for you to tell them what to do because like you're sitting at your desk if you
Yeah.
don't know where to go.
And I've been
what
right.
do
I mean,
do?
I've been like the office weather guy. I've been right several times with snow, and they just still don't listen. But hopefully they're not listening to the show. I love you guys if you are. But anyway, so you
Brady people.
can find all of these weather fools and weather resources at stormfrontfreaks.com under our episode 50 show notes. Phil, back to you.
Very good. Hey, before I turn it over to MJ with our listener question and responses, I got to share one that's relevant as of right now. We've been talking all show about the partnership with Helicity Designs, some of the great lineups that they're coming up with. There was a tweet from Helicity Designs. This is right near the beginning of the show. And they said, even my cat loves Stormfront Freaks. Oddly, he was licking Brady's face, though.
So, how appropriate.
My God. No way.
So, Brady, you have that stigma about you that
Nice.
can even be
Is-
visualized
how-
and felt.
Have they followed up on how the cat's doing now?
Yeah.
Good question.
Flourishing.
Oh,
You
Harold,
know what? If
he's
you got a
right.
brand, stick to it. That's all. That's what it's
You
about.
got
in
it,
the
Brett.
TV
Fair
biz.
enough.
All
I'll
right.
give you that. I'll give you that. All right, MJ, any other listener questions or responses?
Oh, we've got some stuff, and I sometimes do a shout out to our viewers who are in the chat room, and we've had a lively chat tonight. Richard wants to see a twist or two, so maybe Harold is up for being a consultant on that. And I think we've had a couple of our viewers already buy T-shirts from Helicity Designs, so thank you for that.
Awesome.
And
Wow.
all of you
Nice.
out there who are our listeners, make sure you do the same, and please tweet us pics of you wearing those
Oh, that'd be
those
sweet.
T-shirts.
With
Yeah,
a drink in
definitely
your
tweet
hand.
Pictures with a drink in your
Absolutely.
hand.
In a
Yes.
Stormfront Freaks glass. Right.
That would be fabulous. So
Ooh.
hope everybody does that. We have a couple other things. Richard Cook says, hello. I stumbled across your podcast thanks to you being on Weather Brains. After first listen, I was hooked and added you to my 17 podcasts.
Nice.
Oh, thanks,
Great
buddy.
work. I can't wait to listen back to older shows. I've been storm chasing myself 4 times, and I live off the west coast of Scotland. So one of our
Cool.
Oh my
international
God!
listeners.
Wow. That's
Of course, we're
getting it out
17th on his
there.
list, but hey, we'll take it.
You know what? We'll take it.
I have no problem
Pretty
with
good.
that.
Yeah.
So Liz says, just got back from Iowa and checked my mailbox to find these. Thanks so much. You guys are the best. And I think that was glasses, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Phil?
we sent her
Yep.
some of our color changing Stormfront Freaks
Oh, okay.
glasses.
Oh,
My
nice.
question to Liz is because I think she's a student. I understand. I think she's a student at Ball State in their meteorology or atmospheric science program. But my question is, what the hell was she doing in Iowa on spring break?
Yeah, seriously.
Good question.
That's just my
She should
question.
be down
Liz.
here
That's
drinking
just
with
for you.
me.
Yeah.
So yes,
A lot
excellent
of
question.
spring breakers down here. Yeah.
He's trying to take my spot on this show. That's interesting.
Rob H tweeted the Grazulis videos are also available on YouTube. I think that was something that came up.
Yeah, Kim mentioned that last
Yes.
show.
Yep.
The book. Yep.
That's right. And JP Kelb says, question for you guys and at Weather Hype, Storm for Freak and at Weather Hype, do you think there should be a weather podcast based on tweets and not interviews, like what I am trying to do at Stratus show? So that's a new. I know I took a look at that they're a new group that's trying to do something based on Twitter chat rather than interviews. So. Those are our listener comments and questions.
I don't think if we would have done that initially, I don't think we would have had very much content.
Yeah. Well, I
might have
still
been
don't
tough.
think we have very
Yeah.
much content if we were
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
That's why we collect those over 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Correct.
I'd have to make a lot of fake Twitter accounts if that were
That's right. All right. Well, hey, I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. We want to thank you for listening and watching. Before I go ahead and share the secret of our next guest, if you enjoy our show, please do us a favor and leave us a great review on your podcast app. Don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. You know, it works just like a magazine or a newspaper subscription. All it does is it assures the latest show gets delivered right to your podcast inbox the moment that we release it. Hey, special thanks to our guest, Harold Brooks. Harold, thanks for joining us tonight. You're a legend. It was a great conversation, and thanks for
Awesome.
sticking around.
You're welcome. I
Thanks,
enjoyed it.
Harold. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Harold.
And our
Thank you.
next episode is in 2 weeks. We'll be recording on April 19th. Now listen to this, everybody. We're going to be with CEO of the Extreme Weather Experience, Eric Solna, which what this is, it's a first ever immersive weather edutainment attraction concept. So this is a concept that he has to create. It's a combination, I would say, of a weather science museum and an amusement park, all in one facility where you can go on rides, you can immerse yourself in these 3D weather experiences, learn more about weather. It's like a science museum dedicated strictly to weather and how it works, with great rides and interactive things. So this is a great thing that he's working on. We're going to be able to talk to him about it, what the concept is, and how he's going to get that off the ground. So that'll be our next show. If you'd like to watch the recording, it'll be live at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central on April 19th. Go ahead and check us out on our YouTube channel. Just search YouTube and search Stormfront Freaks. So I'm going to say this for MJ and Dina and Kim and Brady and Harold, or what was it, Howard?
Howard.
Fred. Shut up, Fred.
Fred is going to signal the all clear, and we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good night.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Peace out, y'all.
Good night.
All right. Harold, thank you so much,
Hey,
man.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
You were
You're
great.
welcome.
We had a lot of fun with you tonight. I
Okay, thank
appreciate
you. Well, good. I'm glad you did.
it. And good luck with your wife and the
Yes.
teachers and what
Yep.
you guys are trying
Yeah.
to do in
Seriously.
Oklahoma.
It's-
Absolutely.
Yep.
We're
Okay.
behind you on that.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Have a good
Definitely.
night. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All
All right,
right.
bye-bye.
Bye.
So Phil, I
I
gotta
need
know.
to get a shirt.
Yeah,
I
I need
wanna
to
get
shirt.
one of
But
these.
is
Yeah.
Do we get
edutainment
any
a
of
word?
these from them?
So here's what I'll do. So Justin is the guy at Helicity Designs. He's the brains behind that whole operation. which is great. I mean, he is one hell of a creative dude.
Yep.
I've been talking with him to just go ahead and set up a line. We've been sharing ideas of what to create, but I'm kind of leaving it to him because he's the smart person in that kind of field to come up with stuff. I will. I've already talked to him about, hey, how I wanted to make sure our listeners and viewers could get some kind of a discount on anything, not just the Stormfront Freaks line, but on any of the Helicity stuff, because it's all beautiful, great stuff. But I have talked to him about, making sure that we can promote ourselves. So just let me know if there's something that you want. I'll talk to him and we'll work on some kind of deal.
I want the T-shirt.
Yeah,
Which one?
The 50.
You
The one
there's-
we were talking about with the 50
The 50
tour
episode.
Yeah.
tour
Yeah.
the tour.
Yeah.
That,
So, so as of right now, I've noticed he's got 3 ideas. So he's got the 50th episode tour shirt. He's now got the Only You Can Prevent Weather Fools shirt, which
God,
that's
so
the
good.
first time I've seen that one
That's
tonight.
so
Pretty good.
And then he's just got a black shirt
A logo
with our
shirt, right?
logo,
Yeah.
with the Stormfront Freaks logo, which if you go to Twitter, just go on stormfrontfreaks.com, you'll see it. He's teasing it. I don't know if that's available yet, but he's been teasing it. So
The logo shirt and the tour shirt were there when I looked just a little bit
okay,
ago.
good. Okay, cool. Good. So that's,
Okay.
And
that's
like I say, actually, a couple viewers I think said they ordered them. So
okay.
Oh, good.
No way.
That's
Yeah.
so awesome.
Yeah, I just,
Exciting.
he's so creative and all we've had on our website. And so MJ, we'll have to update our
yes.
merch on our own stormfrontfreaks.com. All we've ever had is just logo stuff, basic logo stuff. And I reached out to Justin and he was ecstatic to think that he could create a line of stuff for our show,
Aw.
which I thought was cool. Cause
Yeah.
to me, I'm also like, God, Justin, you got some great stuff, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, I'm just as excited about doing something with you as you are of doing it with us. And so I hope our listeners and our viewers get a chance to really see some cool SHIT from
Oh, now he spelled
Felicity
it
Design.
out.
Now he spells it out. Yeah, really?
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, God, I just looked at my picture on the tweet. That is a horrible picture.
Oh,
my
Brady.
It literally looks like I've got like tobacco in my mouth.
Now
And
you finally know what you look like on the show since
Oh
you never
my
watch
God.
it.
I know.
You got to
Yeah,
update
that's
your
bad.
lighting or something, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that's bad. Oh my
All right, I'm
God.
going to stop our live broadcast. Good night,
Tonight.
everybody. That's
Hey,
watching.
good night. Thanks for
Bye. Good night,
watching. We love you
everyone.
guys. See you
All
later.
right.
Jeez.